Happy holidays and welcome to episode number 27 of the Nintendo Jump Podcast. We are a weekly discussion podcast created for Nintendo gamers by Nintendo gamers. It is the week after Christmas, so the week of December 24th. My name is Daryl, and today I'm once again joined by Sergio.
Hello, everybody.
And Kevin.
What's good, everybody?
How you guys doing today? How was your Christmas?
Pretty low-key. I did get a lot of game time in, especially a lot of Rocket League. I don't know what happened, but I'm getting good again.
There we go.
And I'm riding the wave, and so 370 hours in, and I'm finally playing competitive.
Whoa!
Oh, wow.
that is some good training right there. Mine was pretty good as well. It was low key, just spent some time with family and some close friends, and I got to play a game that I'm about to talk to you guys about in a little bit. So pretty excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so to that point, this week we each have games that we are going to be discussing or reviewing, depending on how far we've gotten into them. But I'm just going to jump right into that. So let's go with Sergio. What is your game for the week?
My game for the week, it's called Aaero. Aaero? So Aero. I think it's Aaero. So this game actually came out on December 24. It's a combination rhythm game and shmup, or a shoot 'em up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually been out on the PS4, Xbox One, and in the PC. It's been out there for about 2 years, and the Switch just got the complete edition, which came with a couple extra songs and a couple extra little things that the other versions got as DLC.
Mm-hmm.
So the game, actually you control a spaceship, and the levels are sort of on rails, the on rails perspective where the path is set and you're just traveling along. Mm-hmm. But like I said, you move the spaceship around a circle. And basically the stages are divided into two parts. There's the rhythm part where you have to follow, it's a line basically, and you follow it around the circle to the beat of the music. And, if you stray off the line too much, you lose a life. And when you lose 3 lives, it's game over and you have to restart a song.
Right.
But, so that's the rhythm part. And, the line moves along and it gets pretty tricky eventually. But the other part, once, most of the stages are like in a tunnel or something like that. And that's where you play the rhythm part. And then once you get out of the tunnel, that's when the game becomes a little bit like Star Fox, actually.
Oh.
It becomes a twin stick shooter. And you use the right control stick to aim your weapon at other enemy spaceships that are flying around. And as soon as you move the cursor over them, you lock onto them. And you can lock on up to 6 different enemies, and then you have to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
It gets interesting because you have to strategize. Do you want to shoot 6 enemies at once to get a high score, or do you want to shoot maybe just 3 and then shoot a projectile that's coming at you that is going to get you in a couple of seconds? So it gets tricky depending on if you want to focus on getting a high score or surviving. So eventually the levels start to mix up, and eventually you're playing the rhythm part, traveling around the rhythm line while still shooting enemies with the right control stick. So it gets pretty complicated.
Ooh.
Now, the game has 15 songs as the base game, and the complete edition comes with 2 packs of 3 songs. So it's a total of 21, and the game is $15. So $15 for 21 songs, I think it's a pretty good deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so the soundtrack is really, it's bass heavy. It's not exactly, 100% dubstep, but if you have an idea of the soundtrack in Rocket League, that's the kind of songs that you can expect. It's a lot of electronic music, but it's very good. It's funny because the first song, it's called Bass Cannon, and it really is a bass cannon, but
Whoa.
it's only the first song. It kind of, I don't want people to get the wrong impression that, this is like 100% dubstep or super bass heavy. The game
Mhm.
the game definitely tones it down after that first one, and it's got some really good songs, and it's a lot of fun to play. So like I said, you're gonna be playing the stages a lot. There's also these little like unlockable things. It's like a little light somewhere in the stage that you have to shoot, and each stage has about 5 or 6 of those, and you only see them for about sometimes even less than a second. So you
Ooh.
kind of have to be looking for them, and I guarantee you're gonna have to replay the stages a bunch of times to get all of them. So
Mm.
there's value here if you're a completionist and you want to get everything, because the game keeps track of how well you follow the rhythm line, but like based on a percentage, how many enemies you killed and how many you missed,
Hmm.
and also those lights that I talked about. So there's 3 things to keep track of. There's a lot of content, and yeah, the game is pretty fun. It's actually, from what I can tell, I played this a lot on the PS4, and the Switch one is it's definitely improved. It's more polished. The
Mm.
HD Rumble works very well. The only sort of downside that I noticed is that the stages take about, I want to say, like 5 seconds longer to load than on the PS4, and that kind of makes sense. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something that I noticed, I guess, because I played the other version.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's a pretty good game. This game is actually kind of special to me because of how much I like the soundtrack. That's how I got into headphones, actually, and that's been
Mm.
a
Oh wow.
journey and a half.
Awesome.
Yep. And just to throw a little friendly jab, I'm glad this game is on the Switch now because I have one less reason to turn on my PS4.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
I have many reasons not to turn on my PS4. Oh, sorry, Sony, but with all that you've said, like, where does this game rank in your rhythm games, like, of all time, like your top rhythm games of all time?
Oh, it's high up there. Only because in I guess the biggest part is because it's so unique. There's nothing really like it.
Hmm.
There's games where things are always coming at you. Like it started with Guitar Hero, Audio Serve. There's a bunch of those, a lot of those. But there's nothing that sort of follows a circle like this, and then it breaks it up with like a shoot 'em up part that it's actually not only just fun but also challenging. And so that's why it's very unique. So it's definitely high up there.
Hmm.
And it seems like the just the basic gameplay loop. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it would be harder than many rhythm games to actually get a perfect on.
Oh yes. Oh my
Hmm.
goodness. Yes.
Just because the definition of perfect there is like following pixels, which
Yeah, that is.
ouch.
It's quite a challenge.
Yeah, yeah. Right, right. And then also if you want to destroy all the enemies, and there's also a couple of boss fights. I want to say there's like 4, unless they added an extra one, but those are even harder. Like I've actually never been able to beat any of the bosses. So yeah, that's something else.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I may have to pick this one up eventually.
Hmm.
Like right now, my backlog is absolutely insane. But you're checking a lot of my boxes. As somebody who I'm not really averse to rhythm games, but I've never really been really super into them. So this might
Mhm.
be a neat break for me.
Yeah, and I figured you would like the shoot 'em up part, like I said, because it's like Star Fox, and the enemies always come out in the same pattern. So repetition is key. If you want to get all of the enemies, you're gonna have to replay the stages, and you'll notice you're gonna be like, oh, now I have to aim to the left, now to the right, and yeah, you have to dodge attacks too. So there's a lot going on. It's pretty fun.
Nice. Yeah. As someone who's played games like Elite Beat Agents and Runner 2, I do not have a rhythm game on my Switch yet, so I think this might be the first one.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty good parallel to draw because it actually kind of reminds me of the Bit Trip series where like you are playing a rhythm game, but it feels like you're playing a different style of game.
Exactly, yeah.
Right, right.
Like it's not just like, hey, these buttons are flying at the screen and you need to press them at the right time. It's there's
There's a
a
purpose
clear
to it.
objective that you're trying to fulfill one way or another.
Right.
And it just happens to be to music.
Yeah, exactly.
Neat.
So if what I'm describing sounds interesting to you, and you either like rhythm games or shoot 'em ups or both, and like I said, as long as you don't mind a heavy bass and heavy electronic music soundtrack, definitely check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Playing this on my bucket
Nice.
list.
So yeah, me too. So with that, let's get on to Kevin's game. What have you been playing, sir?
Well, I've been playing a point and click adventure game called The Darkside Detective. Yeah, it is a game I picked up not too long ago. It's by Spooky's Doorway. They are an indie studio with
Cool.
3 people. They met here. So the interesting part about this one is that they are 3 devs that met on a cursed island off the Irish coast, and then they just decided to create a game. So
wow.
yeah, it's pretty awesome. And actually, by the way, Spooky Doorway, what a pretty awesome name for a studio. Anyway, so the game is about this detective named Detective McQueen, and you're basically just solving cases along with his pretty awesome sidekick named Officer Dooley. Like, like you go through these certain cases, and whether it's trying to solve like this sort of evil spirit that's in the house, or like the storm that comes like on top of a library, there's a really good dialogue that you'll see back and forth between both the detective and the officer. There's one where before the detective and the officer go into the house to ask to investigate the case, Officer Dooley's like, seems to be the kind of spooky crap. I mean, the kind of case you're into, detective. I was like, whoa, it's like the dialogue back and forth. Like, it's just really great, and there's so much sarcasm. I can't begin to tell you. Like, I don't know if they're actually serious or they're just like sarcastic. Like, it's fun to figure out like their intentions and like what they mean by what they say. So that's the dialogue part. The second part about this game is that the point and click adventure style. Now there are a lot of point and click adventure games that I played before. In terms of the UI and how you point to things and direct them to where you want to go to solve puzzles. They do a very good job in, like, when you find an item, you press A and you talk about the item, then you put into your inventory. The inventory shows up in the upper left hand corner, and I think it's pretty nice and simple. Because when if you want to solve, like, for example, you want to put a light bulb in a lamp, you can drag the light bulb from the upper left hand corner, like you drag it with A, press A, and then you drag it to the lamp, and then boom, then you can piece that together and then move on to the rest of the puzzle. So I think I really like how it's easy to do that, because other games you have to there's like verbs, and you have to combine words together with different items and stuff like that. So which games like The Day of the Tentacle, which, by the way, I still love that game, they did that sort of thing. It's not the most ideal at the time, but I mean, or right now, but at the time it was it was the standard for point and click adventure games. Anyway, so that's called the verb UI method. But in this case, it's really easy to just drag something and drag it to the item that you want to solve the puzzle with. So the game is pretty short, I heard. I've only solved 3 of the 6 cases, although I did find something in the settings where it says, "Oh, would you like to unlock bonus cases?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then all of a sudden, 3 cases just popped up. I'm like, "Oh, okay, great." So now the game's a lot longer.
Nice.
I didn't expect that. I was like, "All right, I don't know if this is like, I'm sure this is free."
Activating those cheat codes.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is kind of cool." And this game is actually, so the theme of it is, it's quite ominous. There's a lot of occult stuff and supernatural things that happen. Some of the cases, or at least 2 of the cases that I've played, so far. So 2 out of 3 I've played so far. They show like some of that supernatural stuff, and one of them in particular, they show this evil spirited door with like these incantations, these symbols around it, and at the same time you're hearing this music in the background. It's like very moody, it's very eerie, and like with some sort of synth pop. It's like, and like I have like my Monoprice Modern Retro headphones. Shout out to Serge for recommending me those. And I can feel like the atmosphere. I can feel the tension and just like what's going to happen if I go to the other side of that evil spirited door. And like, yeah, so every case there's some sort of occult theme or some sort of supernatural thing that happens. So I really enjoy that part of the game, and it's charming, but at the same time it's charming and horror, and it has that horror at the same time. So it's very
right.
It's a nice combination, and it's something that I haven't seen in games as of late. And yeah, I definitely recommend it for anybody who is a point and click adventure fan. Even if you're not, like, I'd say like the way they do point and click adventure style is it's very streamlined. So and the jokes are pretty funny. Oh, some of them could be pretty corny, but for the most part, I really like the sarcasm, the back and forth. There's I feel like with Officer Dooley, sometimes I don't know if he's I don't think he's the brightest crayon in the box, but like the way he says things, it's like I don't know. It's like there's one part where he says, "Oh, what's the difference between science and fiction?" I was like, "Wait, what? I don't know what's going on." Like I maybe he doesn't know, or he's just being sarcastic. I don't know. It's just all fun, and I really enjoy it so far. So
Nice. So point and click adventures are typically known for like their visual puzzles and things like that. I'm kind of assuming this game follows suit on that. Are they? How good are the puzzles in your opinion? Like, is it kind of just a chore, or is it actually something you gotta think through?
honestly, it's not too hard. It's not as hard as like games like Grim Fandango or The Day of the Tentacle. Like I don't have to think about it too much. Like it's pretty straightforward. Like like I find a light bulb. Okay, well maybe there's a lamp there that I have to light up, or there's this paint marker. Oh, maybe I should use that for the evil spirited door because there's missing some symbols that I have to paint on. Things like that. There are a couple things like there's one case where you're in the library and you have to you find a book and you have to give it to like these ghosts and they fight over it and they love it or they fight over it at first and they love it so much they go away. It's like they're not the most intuitive. I don't think they're most like complex puzzles, but they're puzzles that they're not really like chores. So it's a good balance. So I don't like I said, it's not the hardest puzzles, but it's good enough to keep you going because there are puzzles, especially in Grim Fandango, where it gets super freaking hard, and it's like to the point where you have to look up online and find some hints, or like maybe if you can't figure it out, like find the answer. So with this game, you're never in that position. The puzzles are not too hard; they're not that easy. So
Nice. Yeah, those really difficult ones, those can be off-putting unless that's something that you're looking for and you kind of have to prepare and be willing to either look online or to if you convince yourself to resist, you're gonna have to be basically playing the game when you're basically thinking, okay, how am I gonna solve that puzzle that I left at home?
yeah.
Because I don't want to look it up online. But I'm wondering, so in this game, is there any voice acting or is it all text based?
Oh, that's a good question. So there's no voice acting, and the faces have no like eyes or mouths or noses. It's just like a blank face. So I think that's definitely intentional. I think that really it really gives point to how important the dialogue is. Like you don't see their visual facial expressions. So they have a heavy emphasis on dialogue, which I really like. And this game is like more. It's like kind of like 16-bit. It's like it has like a retro feel. It's kind of blocky. So when you look at, well, I'll send you guys a trailer video later, but like when you see the trailer, you'll notice right away like what I'm talking about. So visually it looks nice, and like I said, the dialogue hits home. I love the sarcasm and just the way they go back and forth, like the officer and the detective, and how they interact with other characters. There, I might be spoiling too much, but there's one the first case where you find you see the nanny and you ask her like, oh, is there anything weird going on? It's like, oh, no, not at all. It's like, wait, what? Okay, well, there's got to be something going on. Like, why does she talk that way? It's like, or, I mean, you see in text, it's like, no, not at all, ... I'm like, okay, yeah, she seems very suspicious, so. It just gets me going, like, okay, I gotta figure out, because she seems like the bad person, so I gotta dig deeper, so. I recommend the game. I think it's on sale for other non-Nintendo Switch platforms, but I think for $12.99, I think it's $12.99 on the Switch. I think it's a fair price. I enjoy it. I finished 3 of the cases. I have 6 more. So and there's a Kickstarter right now for Season 2, which is I think the second iteration of the game, or Darkside Detective 2. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, and I recommend it to anybody who loves point-and-click adventure games. So. Like Link Triforce. Shout out to Link Triforce. I know he likes that genre quite a bit. So,
yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to look this one up. I'm just wondering, and it's not against the genre. I mean, expected for this type of games for the cases to be very linear.
Mm-hmm.
But based on the ones that you beat so far, is there maybe things that you can miss, or maybe they have multiple ways of solving the same case? Have you run into any of that?
I haven't ran into any of that so far. For the most part, it's pretty linear. I mean, I guess there's ways where you can do one thing first before you do the other thing. So there's different ways there's like probably 2 to 3 ways to go about the case, but in the end, you're solving the same thing, and you're gonna get the same ending. It's not like there's one point and click adventure game on PC called Indiana Jones: The Lost City of Atlantis. So that one is very prominent for having multiple ways to finish the game with multiple endings. In this case, it's not like that so far. I might be wrong. I mean, I only finished 3 of the cases, so for the most part, it's pretty linear, albeit with like there's certain puzzles you can solve one before the other, but it all leads to the same ending. So
okay, that sounds nice. Yeah, there's some wiggle room. Is nice.
But yeah, I definitely recommend it, even to you guys. I think you guys will get a good kick out of it, especially the dialogue. But yeah, that's all I got.
Nice.
All right, I guess that jumps over to me. So I have been playing the Fairune Collection on Nintendo Switch.
Ooh.
Yeah. So this is a collection of 3 games, actually 4 games. One of them's kind of a side thing, but it's the 2 main Fairune, Fairune games that were actually developed for the 3DS and smartphones a few years ago.
Oh.
They've been kind of bundled into this one collection, and then they've added Fairune Origins, which is kind of the, I'll say, like the pilot for these games, like what they used to show what they wanted the games to be, and then a 4th unlockable mode, which I haven't unlocked yet, and it's a completely different type of game from what I've read. So far I have played through Fairune and Fairune 2, and if you haven't heard of these games, I wouldn't blame you. I hadn't heard of them either until the collection actually went on sale in this massive eShop sale a couple weeks ago. So I picked it up for, I think it was $7.
Ooh, wow. That's pretty good.
Now it's reverted back to normal price, which is $10. And I'm just going to cut to the spoiler and say, please pick this game up for $10. It's an amazing game for what it is, and I'll kind of explain that. So what the game actually is, it's kind of if you try to think of like the overworld sections of Zelda games, you're not that far off. Take that, but kind of remove the combat and just really up the level of like environmental and item-based puzzles that are around the world. Yeah, so, and add a tiny amount of RPG elements to it. So as you're walking around, you do have a sword. There is no button to swing the sword or anything. There's no action like that. And there are enemies around, but you defeat the enemies by pretty much just stepping on them. And the way the game works is you have a current level. And as you defeat enemies, you gain experience. And as you gain experience, you move up in levels and can defeat stronger enemies. Well, both of these games, there is a recommended enemy that you should be fighting. So, you start out and it's blue slimes or, whatever, the basic thing. And you can go around and you fight them, and each one you hit takes like 1 health point away from you, but you defeat it and then you gain experience and you level up, and then you can fight the next one. Well, when you level up, you no longer get any experience from the blue slimes. You have to go seek out this new enemy and do it kind of all over again, but with a different enemy type. Well, what it does, all of this is based around basically driving you to, you should be in these areas, right? So you're like, okay, I'm done with blue slimes, who should I attack now? And the game kind of leads you that way. And the reason this game really surprised me, because honestly, I picked it up in the sale after just looking at some reviews. It was reviewed very, very strongly, and I was like, well, you know what? I've got some eShop credit. $7 isn't that much. I'll throw it out there for this type of game. And I was just kind of blown away by what they've actually done with the exploration and the puzzle solving, because the world is not that big, especially in the first game. The world is fairly small, but it's extremely detail oriented. So like you'll be going around and there will be this one block that you need to push somewhere in the world. You don't know that, but you're just kind of wandering around trying to find the next thing you're supposed to be doing, kind of getting led on by which enemies you should be fighting and such like that. And you'll be walking past and one block just won't look right. Right. And it's not quite the Zelda thing where, once in a while it's just out of position, kind of like the Zelda thing is. Right.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, it just had, and the game is all like 8-bit graphics, so it's very pixelated, right?
Nice.
The block had like this little skid portion right beside it, and you're walking past and you go, wait, that looks weird. So you walk up to the block, you try to push it, sure enough, it moves, and then there's a staircase. And the game keeps doing this, and it keeps building on it in multiple cool ways, even to the point that, you go through this little mini dungeon and you pick up this item. You have no idea what this item does. You get a bottle of oil, and you're like, sweet, I got a bottle of oil. I don't know what to do with it. Until you get to this other area that you've got to light something on fire, and you're like, wait, I know what to do. And the game keeps, like, I keep calling it the game. Fairune and Fairune 2 are pretty similar. Fairune is, I'll say, a little bit more obtuse about its puzzles. Like, they're a little harder, a little less obvious. But honestly, as I'm playing the game and I'm just kind of tinkering around this world, and like I said, it's not very big, so you can pretty much walk the whole thing in a few minutes. It's not terrible.
Whoa, that is pretty small.
But I have no idea what to do, right? And I'm just like, okay, well, I've got this and this and this. I don't even know what I'm looking for, right? And the next enemy I'm supposed to be defeating, which the game will tell you, I've never even seen this thing, so I don't know where it is. So you just keep going around until you get like this underground cave and you start seeing that enemy. You're like, yes, I'm in this spot. And it's hard to say exactly why I think it's so good. I just think it's fun to play. Like, I think it's just a head scratcher. It's kind of scratching the Zelda puzzle itch for me, albeit in kind of a simpler way, but at the same time a little bit more complex. It kind of ties into the point and click adventure type puzzles.
Ooh.
A little bit. It doesn't play like that. It plays more like Zelda, but it's more like, I picked up this item. I remember I need to go find this statue over here, but I don't know where that is. Ooh, how did I get there? And honestly, during this entire time, then the soundtrack is much better than it needs to be. Like, it's phenomenal soundtrack.
Cool.
As you're tinkering around, so it's just a fun time. So the first game took me about 2 hours to beat. It's not an extremely long game. The second game probably took me about 3 times that long. It's much bigger, more worlds, and it does some really, really cool things. So all things considered, you're probably looking at about 10 hours of gameplay or so for $10. And I'm like, this is a really fun game to just kind of, it's one of those games that you really just kind of want to bundle up and just, dive into for a couple hours and then be done with and have a really good, it leaves you with a really good feeling. Like, yeah, I did these things, right? So yeah, I've really, really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to anybody who likes, in particular, like the Zelda overworld type puzzles. Hey, that doesn't look right. Let me push on this. Let me go check this part out. The people who will always try to go left when they're playing side scrollers and things like that.
Right.
That's the type of person that you want to be playing this game.
I got a question about what about the story? Like, what's the lore behind Fairune? Is it like up to, like, say, like The Legend of Zelda, or is it a bit more, I guess, not as... Yeah, I guess how's the story? Like, what is it like?
It's a little bit less defined than something like Zelda. So Zelda is pretty much, bad guy kidnaps princess, go save her, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a little more, you don't really know what's going on most of the time, but you're in this fantasy world and you're trying to save these fairies and trying to restore order to this world that's kind of falling apart. So it's more of a world building type story than an actual objective based. But honestly, some of the mystery about the game is what made me like it so much. Like, I don't know what to expect. I don't know where the game is going to take me, what worlds I'm going to see, or anything like that. The final boss of the games is a complete break from the style of gameplay of the rest of the game. So that was a nice surprise. I don't know. I really enjoyed it.
Nice. And yeah, it does sound like it's more on the puzzle side, like you said, and not so much the RPG side, because the way you describe it, it sounds like you cannot grind really, but it also sounds like you don't need to.
No, and the method of grinding is so it's kind of like the old school NES games. So if you do find the right monster and you need to grind them for whatever reason, I didn't need to most of the time to level up. But if you do, then you can just kind of exit the screen, go back to the screen, and they're all back.
Oh,
So
there we go.
it's limited grinding, but when you do need to, it's not hard to do.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's good because then like there's just certain games where before where it's like you have to grind a lot just to get to a certain area. It's like, oh goodness, feels like a chore. But it seems like this. It feels like this game, as you've described, has really good pacing, especially with the puzzle solving and being able to defeat monsters and all that. So, good stuff.
It really does. And if you're a fan of like some of the older school Final Fantasy games, like I'll say maybe Final Fantasy 4 through 6, they did a lot with like invisible wall type stuff. This game does that kind of thing. Like, I don't know where I need to go. Oh, there's this passage over here. But I'll say it makes it a lot more obvious than most games of this style do. Like, you typically can see where an invisible wall is, but it's subtle enough that you generally walk past it a couple times first, and then you go back and you're like, wait, this looks a little weird. There's footsteps over here. It's like single pixels over here that kind of look different. You walk over there and sure enough, hey, hidden passage, hey.
It's nice though. It's like a eureka moment. It's like I remember the first time I played The Legend of Zelda, I think The Link to the Past, and you see a crack in the wall. It's like, oh, what do you do with it? Oh, you can bomb it. And it seems like you have that same sort of feeling when you play Fairune, but in just small spurts. So I like that a lot. That's a good thing to have.
Yeah, I think so. The game has a fun way of making you feel smart.
Yeah.
As you go along, you discover new things. You're like, oh, this is great. It's the same. It's just intelligent level design. It's really smartly put together, and I really appreciated that.
And are there different characters? Like, is there sort of interactions for the story, or is it mostly visual based? You just see what happens.
Most of it is kind of you versus the world. Especially in the first game, like you have some very limited conversations with like the fairies that you try to save and things like that. The second game introduces a non-player character that you actually do talk to fairly frequently.
Right.
But I'll say that's not really the highlight of the game. It's just kind of it's there. I like her, but it's it's just kind of a thing.
All right, gotcha.
Good stuff.
I will say to entice more people, early on in the Switch's life, a game called Kamiko, Kamiko, got pretty popular because it's a cheap, short game and surprisingly good game. This is developed by the same developer. So it's the same people who made that game, and you can tell, although it's slightly less action-based and slightly more puzzle-based.
Nice.
Yeah, at $10, or if you can get it on sale for $7 or so. Honestly, for $10, I would recommend it. I think it's one of the best uses of $10 you can make.
There we go. Guess I have 2 things I have to put on my bucket list. Yeah, pretty good.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay, and with that, I think we are going to actually move to a listener mail from our good friend Dragon. So, Sergio, can you hit us with that?
Sure. So, Dragon's question is, was it ever a process for you to be open to all the sorts of games that have been available, particularly towards the indie scene or third parties? I typically gravitate towards the first-party Nintendo releases, and those have always been my absolute favorites and safe havens. And so for the longest time, I was pretty satisfied just playing those. But it was definitely an eye-opening process to gradually discover how pretty equally amazing games from other publishers and developers have been, once I was brave enough to take a dive in. Games like Dark Souls, Monster Hunter, Celeste, The Messenger continue to exemplify this for me personally. So, Kevin, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, and what a great question. And I say great because, shout out to Dragon, because I, personally for me, indie games have played a huge role in like what I play and just discovering new genres and new, just these new games that I've never thought of. I've never would thought play had there not been something called Steam. Steam is a really great platform to find all these indie games. You have games like Monaco, What's Yours Is Mine, which is a thief game. You have Terraria, which is the 2D action adventure sandbox video game that I played in college with friends. And there's all these sort of indie games, even like Papers, Please, which is about, being this kiosk where you have to, check people's like passports and documents, whether that's legit or not. Like, there's all these sort of concepts. My process is not that complex. It's pretty simple in the way where it's like, okay, well, like, oh, I used to love playing F-Zero. What games out there are like F-Zero? Oh, let's go check Steam. And lo and behold, there's games like The Next Penelope, which is on Switch, by the way, and Redout, which is, it's a more visual, like higher graphical F-Zero kind of game. So it just based on games that I miss playing, and then I look for games that are similar, and then I find these indie games that, fit the niche. Let's be honest, like, indie games drive the creativity of video games. Triple A games like Call of Duty. And, I had to say that, and I say it for a reason, because games like Call of Duty, they do shooters well, but it's the same crap, different toilet. You know what I'm saying? Like Modern Warfare 2, then Black Ops, then like Advanced Warfare. It's pretty much, you have the same formula, just tweaked a little differently. Or like FIFA, like it's the same sort of soccer game, but they just tweak the player movement, the way you dribble the ball, and just things like that. But you have indie games where they don't have that high of a budget, so they take these risks that could make or break. And so I empathize with these indie developers, because they're putting themselves out there to see if to see whether the game can be accepted, and whether people will enjoy them and like them, and whether whether people out there can share the same passions that these developers have for just new concepts out there. And it's a very progressive movement. When I went to E3 for a couple years, I think it was like 2015, 2016. Obviously, there were long lines for the big games like Breath of the Wild. I think in 2016, like when we didn't even know about the Switch at that time, but it was like a 2-3 hour wait, and then they blocked the lines, like they cut the line after like an hour or so, and but then you have like other games that like maybe the new Uncharted that was coming out at the time, or Uncharted like Lost Legacy, and then there's like some other games that were just like very high marketed, but then you have something called Indiecade, where the lines weren't that long, but gosh, there was so much like creativity with these games. Like there's Disc Jam, there's and there's Windjammers, and games that I've never even thought about. So I feel like there needs to be given more love for just the indie games in general. And my process simply is just take something that you like before, like F-Zero, and just see if you can find something similar on Steam or on the Switch now. Also, another thing that I do in my process is look at Kotaku. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I love Kotaku, in that they have like really pretty interesting articles that talk about games that I've never even heard about, or like just things that they highlight that give me a different way of thinking. One of the articles that I really liked from Jason Schreier was about this RPG called The Legend of Heroes: Trails in the Sky, and I have never would have thought about playing this game unless I've read that article from 2014, and gosh, it opened my eyes to like where's this RPG? How come I never heard about it before? And I would never would have heard about it until I read on Kotaku. It's developers by Neon Falcom. I'm not sure if they're any developer or not, but they're definitely not as well known as like Naughty Dog or Square Enix. So
right.
like, I think it's important to embrace the movement of indie games. You don't have to get all the indie games, but just like get ones that you can enjoy and embrace the genre. Because like when people talk about video games, like most people say the same stuff, like, oh well, have you played Breath of the Wild or Super Smash, which is great, those are the popular ones, but then we don't want to discount the games that are just swept under the rug, the games that they put just as much effort, if not more, and the creativity, the roles, the methods behind making these games. I mean, it's really important. So yeah. So, like I said before, the process for me, for discovering more of these sort of indie games, Dragon, is that just take something that you like before, like F-Zero or Super Mario Kart, and find something that's similar, or keep up with video game websites, because that's how I did it, and it's worked wonders for me for the past several years of my life, and really has it's a really personal thing, and it's hit me home to find all these games that I never would have realized were made. So that's my answer.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess for me the process is pretty similar. Like if there is a game that I like, then I'll definitely Google games like blank whatever,
Yeah.
or find out about the developer of the game, which is how I determined that Fairune and Kamiko were actually the same developer. But I just have this policy that I just kind of play everything, and I don't if a game looks fun, I'll look at it, I'll go check out the reviews, I'll see what people are saying about it, and if it just sounds fun, then I'll pick it up, kind of regardless of I'll say almost regardless of the genre, almost regardless of anything else. Just if a game is getting a lot of praise, that's how I ended up with Dead Cells and even The Messenger, and I was extremely happy with both of those. So also, Dragon, my recommendation to you is Dead Cells based on this list. I think I think that would really really click with you. But yeah, I don't know. I think I try to be really open to games, and from time to time, like you get an all-time classic in a game that's like $20, which is like games like Celeste, and the first game for me that opened that up and kind of opened the door for what an indie could be was Cave Story, and I've talked about that in the past. Like Cave Story is an absolutely incredible game that was just kind of buried on some eShop a long time ago, but I picked it up because I heard some good things about it, and I'm really glad I did. So I guess my process and my recommendation is just be open to what's out there. Don't be too biased about a game's quote unquote status in the world, because if you are, you can miss a game like Rocket League, which is one of my most played games on the system, right? But or a game that's going to be vying for Game of the Year, which is like Celeste, or even The Messenger is way up there. So yeah, just I try to be open, and I definitely recommend that.
Agreed. Yeah.
Nice. And maybe twisting Dragon's question a little bit, or going like a step forward. What I was also thinking is how, to me, I want to say back in around 2012 or so, I started to look at the other two sides that are out there. And growing up as a Nintendo-only gamer, and then realizing, man, there's a lot of games out there that are just not coming to the Nintendo system of the time. And while I have enough to play, with even if it's just first-party Nintendo games and a couple of other ones, there's two other ecosystems out there with so many very unique. I want to say like a lot of those games are experiences in a way, more than games, even though they're only games. But it's a very different type of gaming, and that's why I got into those systems as well. And then eventually with something like, first it was WiiWare, although I didn't get that much of it, but it was definitely the beginning. And then DSiWare, getting little games, like little chunklets of games that are either parts of bigger games or the beginnings of indie developed games. I actually have a DSi that has all the DSiWare available. I collected the DSiWare, so I definitely played a lot of I played a lot of very bad games, but also a lot of average games and a lot of good hidden gems. And it's only getting better from DSiWare to the 3DS eShop, and then on the Wii U, and then now on the Switch. Indie games are becoming way better and easier to step it up and fight those quote unquote AAA experiences. There's definitely a much better balance now, and there's a good game anywhere, regardless of genre and regardless of price, which I think it's very important.
Yeah, and you mentioned the ecosystems. I mean, like Ori and the Blind Forest. I mean, that was first on Microsoft, so I mean that is a great example of a game that came from a different system that you really liked, that you wouldn't have found if you were only playing Nintendo systems, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and I think, and it's a really good point. Like just what you mentioned about, like Daryl was saying that it's like with Daryl, you like I agree. Like you gotta be open, and Sergio, like it's you gotta be open to just not just Nintendo but other systems as well. And regardless of the genre, regardless of like as Daryl said, I it's just have that open mind. And like Nintendo Switch is really awesome now, and or actually since it released, like just being open to all these indie developers, these third party developers that are like they make these games for the Switch, and people are just starting to discover them. Like I think is great, and just gives new life into. It gives me a new hope for indie gaming, and for people to realize that hey, like these are awesome. These are just as great as AAA games, if not better. But that's not the most important thing. But the important thing is just that you get to find more things that you like, and it's a really big world out there. And there's like, can you believe it? There's 1,400 games on the Nintendo Switch. Okay, that's a lot of games that you can dive into, from so many different genres and so many fun games that you can play. So, but yeah.
Yeah, and to kind of play devil's advocate a little bit, that's one of the reasons I'm actually I still kind of miss it, but I'm actually a little bit glad that the virtual console isn't really a thing on the Switch yet. And I do think I say yet intentionally there. I do think that'll be expanded and eventually come out. But what it's done is for better or worse, it's kind of forced people to stop buying A Link to the Past and start looking at all the indies that are coming out, which is like something like 20, 30 games a week, right? I mean, there's so many games. My wish list is growing at a rate which I cannot sustain, and it's not a bad thing to basically be quote unquote forced to look other ways, because what else is coming out of that is all these success stories that we've talked about before. Celeste just mentioned it sold 500,000 copies.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of success stories about games doing best on Switch and doing really well on the platform. So guess what that does? It just means more indie games are coming to the system. And it's a really good thing. And if they had started out with a full library of the virtual console games, they probably could have done this fairly elegantly, but you have to expect that number would have been a lot lower for all these other developers who are now thriving on the system, and we're seeing all these different looks instead of just kind of replaying these games over and over again. So, like I said, I do kind of miss it still. I would love to see some virtual console things start around now, right? And actually start kind of growing. I would love to see a SNES online at some point. That would be awesome. But for now, I don't miss it. And I don't miss it nearly as much as I thought I would. So that it's a very good thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I think the way Nintendo's doing right now is, I think they're doing it pretty well. They've been very smart about what to release, what not to release for the Switch. And yeah, like 2019 is just around the corner, and we'll see where it goes. And we do have the NES catalog with Nintendo Switch Online. So, I mean, it's nice to play games that I've never even played before, like the hockey game, which we played before. I was like, this is pretty awesome. Like, how come I didn't play this before? So, yeah. Anyway,
nice.
Nice.
No, great question there, and I think we kind of came at that from a couple different angles. So that's pretty great. Okay, and with all that, so we actually have one more thing. It is what many call the season of giving, and so we decided to give to our other two co-hosts of this podcast. Each of us are going to give just recommendations of video games. We're not actually going to give them away, but what we've done is we've each prepared one or two recommendations of games for each of the other co-hosts and also some listeners if you tend to align with us. So with that said, Kevin, why don't you go first?
All right. So I'm going to start with you, Daryl. This game is something that I know you would like because you're big on RPGs. I'm going to recommend you Child of Light Ultimate Edition on the Nintendo Switch. I think you'll like it a lot. It's made by a small subdivision of Ubisoft. It's a game about this princess trying to, she's exploring this fairy world. trying to save her ill father, and the premise is very simple, but just the setting, the watercolor art, just makes its mark literally on this adventure, and the combat is really easy to understand, hard to master, and you're gonna meet like all sorts of different kind of characters. It's not that long of a game. I think it's probably maybe a 20, 30-hour game if I remember. Well, that was the regular edition. I don't know about the Ultimate Edition, but it is like it's a platform RPG kind of game. So there's gonna be a little bit of platforming, but you're gonna be there's a depth to it with how you level your characters and what you do with them. So this is the game that I would recommend to you, and I think you would love it. Especially and the art is very, very attractive. So even though that's not the most important part about this game, or it shouldn't be the most important part of this game, but it really does shine so well. So that is what I recommend to you, Child of Light.
Nice. Yeah, and I actually just saw it was on sale. It's actually, I think it's $10 out right now. So I was actually considering picking it up.
Yeah.
To just throw on the ever-growing backlog. Yeah.
Yes.
I actually I had that game on Wii U.
Oh.
My wife was the only one who played it. I never actually went through and played it. So that was one that I've kind of had my eye on for a little bit. So I think that's a great pick.
Oh, yeah, thanks. And I am pretty sure that she'll recommend that to you as well. And we did talk. Actually, I think this is the one that you told me that was going to be on the Switch, and I didn't believe you. I'm like, wait, what?
Yep.
Right.
I was like, whoa, that's so crazy. Oh, man, what a gem. Okay, so, and also the music is awesome. It's orchestric. Is that a word? Orchestric? Yeah.
Orchestral.
Orchestral. Yeah, orchestral. There we go. All right. Got my English down pat. So, for that being said, Sergio, I have one game that I'm sure you would love. I did hint it earlier. Runner 3, the sequel to Runner 2. It is part of the Bit Trip series, starring the character Commander Video from Runner 2 and the original Runner. Released on the Switch earlier this year. And yeah, it's a rhythm platformer video game. Sergio, you played the Runner series before?
Yeah, I played Runner 2 on the Wii U.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, I played Runner 2 on PC, so it's that's awesome. So yeah, I would recommend this to you just because I know you're a big fan of rhythm games, and yeah, I personally haven't played Runner 3 before, but I have watched some of the videos, and it just looks like more of a streamlined version of Runner 2, and with much more music. And there is a caricature of the voice actor for Mario, Charles Martinet. So,
really?
Yeah, I just read that on Wikipedia. So
yeah, he's like the main announcer, or like the commentator guy.
Right.
There you go. So that is
nice.
Yeah. So that's gonna be it, and yeah. So I got those two for you guys.
Nice, sounds good.
All right, Sergio, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sounds good. And I'll start with you, Daryl. I think you would like a game that I believe came out first on the Wii U and came out on the Switch a couple of months ago again. And it's also on the 3DS. It's called Rumbo.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Rumbo.
So it's mostly a runner/platformer. And the twist on that is that it's actually multiplayer based. You can play, I want to say, with up to 7 other people, so 8 players at once, and there's a lot of cool mechanics going on. Basically, the background color of the stage keeps changing periodically, and there are platforms of the same color that, let's say, when everything is green, the green platforms are gonna disappear, so you cannot step on them or jump on them. So it definitely keeps the pace going, very frantic. And then with 8 people either playing together, trying to get to the end, or trying to sabotage each other to basically be the first one to the goal. There's a lot going on. I know you like multiplayer games, and I know I kind of have a good feeling that you would really enjoy it if you haven't played it.
Nice. Yeah, it looks hilarious. It
Oh
has
yeah, it
online,
definitely
right?
is. Yeah, it does. And
Ooh,
I played it online, and if we do voice chat and everyone is playing all at once, yeah, it can definitely get hectic and a lot of fun.
sweet.
Fair enough.
And for Kevin, not
Ooh,
sure if you play this. I wanna guess no, but I think you really should. And it's either of the Jet Rhythm games for the 3DS.
I have not played either game on ever.
That's a good pick.
Dang.
Yeah, so they're both Final Fantasy. And I would just get the second one
Mm-hmm.
because it's basically an enhanced version of the first one, and it has a lot more content and a lot of nice little refinements. Like you can even play just using buttons instead of the touchscreen.
Oh,
But yeah, it's all Final Fantasy music, which I know you love that series.
I
I know you
do.
love music, so it's like a perfect combination of the both.
Oh man, I gotta get my 2DS back. Oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they play really well too. I actually have the
Oh.
second one on 3DS, and it even has some. It has music from like all of the different games in the series. Like even like it has some Chronicles music in it, and
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
everything. It's tons and tons of songs, and it plays really well.
Whoa. Okay.
yeah,
Oh man.
and tons of DLC too. A lot of songs from Square Enix games in general. So not just Final Fantasy, but
Yeah, that's true.
Whoa.
I know you're a Final Fantasy fan, and there's a lot here. And pretty much all the characters from all the games are all here, and you can mix and match your party, which is crazy.
Everyone is here. Just like Smash.
Yeah, basically.
No, that's great. No, more music the merrier. Yeah, like you said, I am a big Final Fantasy fan, but I am open to listening to other music from other Square Enix games as well. So this is a pretty awesome pick for sure.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's also cheap. You can generally find it for less than $10. It's really not
Whoa.
expensive
Yep,
either. So
yep.
And just to the backlog.
there's a lot there for it. Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
throw it on the pile.
Throw it on the pile. It's growing ever so slightly. Good stuff. Good stuff.
All right, so I guess it's my turn, and I'm gonna start with Sergio. So this may be cheating. I actually told you about this game, just kind of in a private conversation, but
Oh.
I'm making it public now. I'm gonna recommend Yoku's Island Express.
Ooh.
If
Ooh.
you have not played this game, it is a light Metroidvania game based around a dung beetle who is a postman for this island. So he runs around delivering letters to people, and it's mostly based on pinball. So how you get around the level, like you can move left and right, but you very frequently you get into these pinball sections to actually move
Mm-hmm.
within the level, and it is the soundtrack is fantastic, the art is fantastic. I really like the world that they've developed. It's a fun place to be.
Mm-hmm.
There's a kind of surprising amount of lore to the island and such
Oh,
like that, and
wow.
it's really cute and charming, and it's fun to play. Even if you don't really like pinball games, it's light enough that it's not like the hardest of core or anything like that. It's just a fun game to kind of be in and tinker around. So I think you'd really enjoy it.
Oh, nice.
That is such a cool concept, with someone who is delivering mail and has like this pinball mechanic. I mean, that's really unique.
It's funny too.
Yeah.
Just the dialogue between the different characters and such,
Mhm.
who are all different animals and things.
Right.
It's a funny game. The world's really big,
Mhm.
actually, and
Oh,
yeah, it's a surprising game in many ways, and I recommend it to you and practically everyone at this point.
Nice.
nice.
And in case that was cheating, my backup was actually Crypt of the Necrodancer for you.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I've heard great things about that one too.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you like rhythm games, and it's a dungeon crawly one, so there you
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
go. For Kevin,
Ooh.
I actually have been playing, and I mentioned this to you earlier too. I'm going to recommend Mantis Burn Racing.
Yes, I was looking at that earlier. And I think Dragon plays it too, right? Or did he get it?
So far, I think I'm the only one.
Oh, okay, never mind.
But
Or maybe he mentioned it. But not. That's
yeah,
awesome. Holy shoot! Like.
so it's kind of a top down racer. I don't know if you've ever played on the NES like RC Pro Am or any of those like arcade games like Super Off Road or anything like that. That's kind of the mindset to go in with. but it's a lot of fun, and from what I've played so far, the controls are very tight. It comes with all the DLC, which I haven't really delved too much into, but I've seen some hovercrafts and some cars with like cannons and stuff on them, so there's like some combat going on. It's got full online play and a lot of tracks and cars and such, so I think you'd dig it. I really do.
Yeah, no, no, you hit it right on the money. This is a game that I would definitely like to play. The only top-down racing game I played is the Next Penelope, and it's not. It's like a racing / F-Zero game or F-Zero / shooter. But yeah, I did play a little RC Pro Am or AM, but I didn't really own it. Yeah, how's the online system? Have you been playing other people? Like, is it pretty competitive? Like, what's that like?
So far when I'm searching for games, I haven't really found too many people playing, but it's easy to set up like friend games and things like that, and you can set up bots and things. So I think if we got some people convinced to play it, I think we could get some parties going and have some fun.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm always down for another racing game. I know that we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but it's always nice to have a change up, and this seems like
this is a very different one.
Yeah, it's very different. Yeah, it's you know what, another to add to the backlog, but I'm gonna rank it a bit higher. Yeah,
Nice.
That's good.
Yeah, it's also currently on sale, so I picked it up for I think $10.
Okay.
Which, I mean, hey, this entire episode for me has been $10 games. So
$10
hey,
games.
There you go.
$10 games, man. $10 decoy. There we go.
Yep.
Yeah. So this one and then Theater Rhythm. Okay. Well, I need to get back my 2DS again. Good stuff. So both of those games I will definitely. I mean, and, oh gosh, Final Fantasy 2. Man, that's awesome. Okay, so I got those two under my bucket. And they are rated higher in my bucket list now. So anyway, all right, good stuff. And yeah, that's man, we got some pretty good gift games today.
Yeah, so I think
that's all I got.
that's all I got. That's gonna do it for episode 27 of the Nintendo Jump Podcast. If you like the podcast, or if you don't like the podcast, I'm surprised you made it this far, but please let us know. You can write us to our email at nintendojumppodcast@gmail.com. We would love it if you could leave us a review on whichever podcast app you listen on. It does help people find us and really, really helps us out. So if you could, please leave us reviews. We have a very, very active Discord group, so that will be in the show notes. We encourage you to come check it out, because we got a lot of people playing a bunch of different games pretty much all the time, and it's been a lot of fun for me personally. So I think we'd love to have you if you want to come and just sit down and play with people. It's a lot of fun. We also have a Facebook group if you prefer that, so definitely check us out there as well. One final announcement before I actually sign out. So next week we are planning our Game of the Year discussion for 2018. It's going to be our first episode in January, so it's going to be a combination Game of the Year of 2018 and expectations to 2019. We are going to do another one of those episodes where we have listeners record themselves saying their Game of the Year and send them in to us. So you can send them in again at our email address if you want to participate. Just say, hey, this is, state your name, and my favorite game of this year was blank, and send that into our email at NintendoJumpPodcast@gmail.com, and you will have a very good chance of actually being included in the show. I think that worked out really well last time, so I'm pretty excited about it this time. Love to hear from you guys. But with that, I think we're just gonna jump on out of here. So once again, this is Daryl, and for Kevin and Sergio, bye.
See ya.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks for listening.